So the hype job, Bo Nickal, has been stopped by Rainier de Ridder. Am I surprised? My answer is no. I'm going to tell you why I'm not surprised. This is what happens when you have a top-level prospect in Bo Nickal, who, by the way, has a lot of hype in amateur wrestling. Nothing that really translates to pro MMA, but other people will think differently based on the hype that Bo Nickal has. He lost, and it was a big upset. I think it was a very big upset, but for real hardcore fans, I don't think this should have been a big upset. Look, he's a prospect, very experienced, 7-0. De Ridder is a former 1FC champion, a former 2-division champion, okay, at 185 and at 205 in 1FC. So you take a pick who you think is going to win between those two if you remove the hype of Bo Nickal prior to the fight. Now, everybody was saying Bo Nickal was going to come out here. He's going to go fight Khamzat. Him and Khamzat are going to be the next Apollo Creed versus Ivan Drago, or Rocky versus Ivan Drago, or whatever fantasy that a lot of people have for Bo Nickal. Well, the reality is this. Bo Nickal is a very, how do I say this, inexperienced fighter, very green. On top of that, very new to the game of mixed martial arts, but not new to the world of combat, in which he is a very decorated wrestler. But wrestling does win fights, but it doesn't always win fights, especially if one of those fights is against a very highly experienced mixed martial arts fighter, who, by the way, is a former world champion in other organizations. Sure, de Ridder is not a world champion in the UFC. He wasn't a world champion anywhere else other than 1FC. But he was a world champion nonetheless, and he did way more in his whole entire career than Bo Nickal ever did. And I'm sorry to say that Bo Nickal was just nothing more than a hype job. Now, on the other side of the world, on this same night, Saudi Arabia had a boxing card going on with Canelo versus Skull, in which, by the way, I really believe that Skull had won that fight, and I'm sure many boxing aficionados out there will agree with that. However, it is Canelo that is the star, and as a result of that, they were going to give him a decision. So one has to wonder, right? If de Ridder went all 3 rounds with Bo Nickal and went to a decision, would it be a possibility that perhaps maybe he would have gotten screwed over and got the nod over de Ridder? Possibly. But guess what? What did de Ridder do that Skull didn't? You know what he did? He decided, I'm going to go finish this guy. Because you know what they say, don't leave it in the hands of the judges. Skull, unfortunately, left it in the hands of the judges, and I know that's a ridiculous statement to make, but screw jobs in fighting is a real thing, and there's only one way to mitigate a screw job, and that is to finish the job. De Ridder absolutely finished the job, and it is back to the drawing board for Bo Nickal. And as for de Ridder, he calls out Sean Strickland. It's a great call out. I do believe that Sean Strickland is scheduled to fight Izzy. I believe they're working on that behind the scenes right now, but nothing really came of that, so who knows. But sky's the limit for de Ridder, whoever he wants to fight at 185, and maybe move up to 205 at some point, where he was also champion at 1FC. But on either regard, don't forget to like and subscribe. I will see you on this one.